Hey guys, I'm Mark from Poacher Spot and welcome to week 5 of the Premier League review. If you want to do the series, what we do is we take a look at the past set Premier League results, we take a look at the Premier League table, and we finish off by looking at the Premier League top goal scorers. So here are the past set of Premier League results. These games were played on Friday the 15th, Saturday the 16th, and Sunday the 17th of September 2017. Also next to the games are their times in this video, so if you want to hear about a specific match, just go to the time next to the game and just go about all the other crap, but without further ado, let's get into our first match. We start with Watford versus Manchester City. Manchester City took the lead in the 27th minute when Sergio Aguero continued his great goal-scoring form against Watford. It came from a free kick as Kevin De Bruyne took it and sent the ball into the box, and on the end of it with a header was Aguero, and he glanced it into the back of the net. And 4 minutes later, Man City doubled their lead when Sergio Aguero got his second of the match. It came following some great work on the left-hand side by Gabriel Jesus, and David Silva ends up with the ball, and he played the ball across the face of goal, and on the end of it was Aguero, who tapped in from close range. And Man City added their third 5 minutes later when Gabriel Jesus converted. It was a bit controversial this one as Sergio Aguero cut the ball back to Jesus, who slid the ball past the keeper, but it did look like Jesus was offside, and even Jesus looked at the linesman expecting the flag to be up, but the flag stayed down and the goal stood. And Man City got their fourth 20 minutes into the second half when defender Nicolas Otamendi bagged himself a goal. It was from a corner as David Silva whipped the ball in. It looked like it was going to be John Stones who got on the end of it, but it dropped to Otamendi and the Argentine headed into the back of the net. And Man City got their fifth in the 80th minute when Sergio Aguero completed his hat-trick. Kyle Walker started the move as he gave the ball to Aguero, and he made a great run, taking it around basically the entire Watford backline before trickling his shot over the line at the far post. And Man City got the perfect chance to get one more as they were given a penalty in the 88th minute. Raheem Sterling made his way into the box and is brought down by Christian Kabasele. Sterling stepped up to take the spot kick and he smashed it into the top corner. And that is how the game ended. What a week for Manchester City. Played 3, won 3, scored 15, conceded none. If somebody wants to say Manchester City aren't title favourites, then they need to see a counsellor. Sergio Aguero's hat-trick this game is his 6th in the Premier League, and only Alan Shearer, Robbie Fowler, Michael Owen and Thierry Henry have scored more, and Aguero is still in his prime. He also loves scoring against Watford, with these 3 goals adding to his tally, and he's now scored 9 goals in 5 games against Watford, and at this point, I just don't see how anyone will be able to stop Man City. And we move on to Manchester United versus Everton. It was a great start for Man United as only 5 minutes into the match, Antonio Valencia scored an absolute worldie. It came when Nemanja Matic swept the ball across the box, and on the end of it was Valencia, who smashed it first time back across goal and straight into the top corner. And after this, nothing else really happened apart from a few close chances for both teams, but the game really sprung back to life in the final 10 minutes, and it started when Manchester United doubled their lead through Henrik Mkhitaryan. It came when Romelu Lukaku played the ball to the edge of the box, and arriving was Mkhitaryan, who swept the ball into the back of the net. And in the 90th minute, Man United added their third, and it just had to be Romelu Lukaku, didn't it? It started when Lukaku took a free kick that hit the wall, and it fell to Nemanja Matic. Matic's shot is deflected, and it fell to Jesse Lingard, who flicked the ball on for Lukaku, who finished from close range. And Man United had the perfect chance to grab their fourth in the 92nd minute when they were given a penalty when Morgan Schneiderlin handballed it. No real arguments from any Everton players, and Anthony Martial stepped up to take it, and he made no mistake as he added the last nail in the coffin. And that's how the game ended. Another 4-0 win for Man United, this being their third of the season. In the end, I think 4-0 is a bit harsh on Everton as they had some great chances in the first half and they really should have levelled the scoring back when it was 1-0. But some poor finishing has ended up costing them, and Manchester United were easily able to cruise past them. And we move on to Bournemouth versus Brighton. It was a pretty boring first half, but the game got its first goal 10 minutes into the second half when Solly March put Brighton ahead. It came when Pascal Gross did some great work on the wing before putting a great cross into the box, and on the end of it was March who nodded into the back of the net. But 10 minutes later, Bournemouth equalised through Andrew Sermon. It came when substitute Jordan Ibe played a lovely backheeled pass through the legs of Brighton defender and into the path of Sermon, and Sermon then slotted the ball in at the far post. And 5 minutes later, Bournemouth completed the comeback as Jermaine Defoe got his first goal for Bournemouth following his return. Jordan Ibe yet again is at the heart of the goal as he got round his man before splitting the Brighton defenders in half with a lovely ball through to Defoe, who smashed the ball back across the keeper and into the back of the net for his first goal for Bournemouth since 2001. And that's how the game ended, a big 3 points for Bournemouth, who picked up their first win of the season. Let's give credit to Brighton though, who did play well, but when they took the lead, they just looked as if they'd gotten lazy, and they let Bournemouth have the way with them. But Bournemouth did well as they can't have been happy with their first half performance, but they changed it up in the second half, and when Jordan Ibe came on, he flipped the game on its head, grabbing 2 assists and playing a huge part in Bournemouth picking up the win. And we move on to Newcastle versus Stoke. Newcastle took the lead 20 minutes into the game when Christian Atsu got his first league goal of the season. It came when Newcastle had it wide with Matt Ritchie and he killed a lovely cross into the box, and at the back post was Atsu and he hit it first time into the back of the net from close range. But Stoke levelled the scoring 10 minutes into the second half when Xherdan Shaqiri put Stoke level. He was having a quiet game, but he can come from anywhere, and the Swiss got a little bit of space on the edge of the box and he smashed the ball straight into the bottom left corner. But Newcastle retook the lead 10 minutes later when Jamal Lascelles got his second goal in as many games. It was pretty much a remake of his goal from last week, as a corner is put into the box from Matt Ritchie and the Newcastle captain rose higher than everyone else and planted his header past Jack Butland. And that is how the game ended. 3 Premier League wins in a row now for Newcastle, which has guaranteed them a place in the top 6 this weekend. It may not last long, but it's a sight that Newcastle fans will love seeing. Newcastle definitely deserved this win and they really should have had more goals. They should have had a penalty as well, but that wrong decision didn't matter, as only a minute after that penalty shout was waving away, that's when Newcastle got the winner. Another good performance from Newcastle, and as a Liverpool fan, it's always nice to see Rafa Benitez doing so well. And we move on to Liverpool versus Burnley. Liverpool were the more attacking side for the opening quarter of the match, so obviously it was Burnley who took the lead in the 27th minute with their first shot of the game. Like always, it was a defensive mistake from Liverpool, but this time it was from Ragnar Klavan. It came when Trent Alexander-Arnold and Stephen Ward go up for a header, which Ward wins. The ball is still in the air and Chris Wood and Joe Matip are challenging for it, but for some strange reason, Ragnar Klavan is standing right beside Joe Matip, so when the ball drops, it's to Scott Arfield, who is in a load of space, and he hits the ball clean into the bottom corner. But the lead won't last long, as only 3 minutes later Liverpool equalised through Mohamed Salah. It was a lovely play from the Egyptian as Emre Can played it high. Mo Salah then scored in 3 touches. He stopped the ball dead with his first, took it away from Matt Lawton with his second, and then drilled the ball low into the net with his third. And that is how the game ended. A very frustrating day for Liverpool. They had about 30 shots in the entire game, but they only got about 7 of them on target. For some reason, they just aren't clinical enough in the final third. Burnley didn't have as many chances, but they did come close when Ben Mee had a header cleared off the line by Joe Matip. But other than that, like I said, a very frustrating afternoon for Liverpool, who definitely should have won this. And we move on to Huddersfield versus Leicester. The first half didn't have much to get wild about, but Huddersfield undoubtedly were the better side, and they had the former Premier League champions on the ropes, but the Foxes just about managed to hold on. But less than a minute into the second half, Huddersfield finally broke the deadlock. It came when Laurent Depois held off Harry Maguire and then outpaced him, and the Belgian, on his first full Premier League debut, rolled the ball into the bottom corner. But 5 minutes later, Leicester had the perfect chance to level the scoring when they were given a penalty when Andy King made his way into the Huddersfield box before being tripped over by Chris Lowe and the referee pointing to the spot. Jamie Vardy stepped up to take it and he smashed the spot kick past the goalkeeper. And that's how the game ended, and Huddersfield fans will feel a little hard done by, as they did have the ball in the back of the net for a second time, but it was given as offside. Tom Ince did some great work before striking the ball, but as he shoots, it looks like the final touch came off Elias Kachunga, who was in an offside position. Huddersfield were without a doubt the better side, and Leicester are really lucky to come away with a point. And we move on to Crystal Palace versus Southampton. Southampton took the lead only 5 minutes into the match when a poor defensive setup gifted Stephen Davies a goal. It came when Dusan Tadic's cross/shot was parried by Wayne Hennessy, but only as far as Stephen Davies, who wasn't picked up by anyone, and the Northern Irishman side-footed home from 10 yards. And that is how the game ended. Not much else happened. A couple of great chances for Crystal Palace, but Southampton keeper Fraser Forster pulled off some great saves and kept Palace at bay. Different manager, same results for Crystal Palace, as yet again they didn't score, and that's now set a record. They are now the first team ever to lose the opening 5 games of a top flight season without scoring. I don't know what else I could say about Palace. They look just awful, and now with Roy Hodgson being the new manager, things won't change because he's trash. And we move on to Chelsea versus Arsenal. The only big thing we're talking about was a red card in the 88th minute when David Luiz was shown a straight red. It was a naughty challenge on side Kolasinac, and on any other man the challenge would have injured them, but Kolasinac isn't a man and he just got straight back up. It was a 50-50, I would say, but Luiz just didn't go for the ball. He went straight over the ball and he catches Kolasinac quite high around the shin/knee area. So like I said, Kolasinac is lucky that he's a tank, because if that was a normal man, he would have been stretchered off. Luis was already on a yellow card, but the challenge was shown a straight red, and because of that, Luis will be banned for 3 games unless Chelsea try and successfully challenge the decision. And that's how the game ended in for a 0-0. It was very entertaining. Arsenal had a couple of great chances, especially Alexandre Lacazette. He had the ball a couple of yards out from goal when a rebounded shot from Aaron Ramsey fell to him, and he somehow skied it well into Rosie. Shkodran Mustafi also had the ball in the net for the Gunners, but it was correctly ruled out for offside. And before the game, if you told pretty much any Arsenal fan that they would be quite disappointed with a draw, they would have laughed in your face. But Arsenal did have the better chances and really should have came away with a win. And we move on to Tottenham versus Swansea. Yet again, another game at Wembley for Tottenham, and yet again, some more points dropped. Tottenham enjoyed the majority of possession, majority of the shot, pretty much majority of everything else. But in the end, Tottenham just couldn't break through the Swansea defence, and they would feel hard done by, as Spurs fans will feel like they should have had at least 2 penalties. The first was when Toby Alderweireld was blocked off, and the second one was when the ball hit a stray hand. Both times, Martin Olsen was the perpetrator. Swansea would have came into this game with a mission to stop Spurs from scoring, and they were successful in their task. Swansea will be happy with the way they set up their defence, and Spurs will be kicking themselves that their attack couldn't get past them. And finally, we've got West Brom versus West Ham. Nothing really happened in this one. West Brom midfielder Gareth Barry equalled the most Premier League appearances, with him now catching up to Ryan Giggs. Both of them are now on 632, with Gareth Barry likely to break that record next week. West Brom are lucky to have finished the match with 10 men when goalkeeper Ben Foster brought down Javier Hernandez when he was clean through on goal, but the keeper escaped with a yellow card. But other than that, nothing really. There was only 2 shots on target in the entire game, so in the end, both teams were equally bad. So they both came away with a point. So that's all the fixtures I've got for you this week. Before we go, let's take a look at the Premier League table and top goal scorers. Starting off with the Premier League table. Start with the top 5, and as you can see, it's very tight at the top. So tight, in fact, that there is literally nothing that splits the Manchester sides. They've both played 5, won 4, drawn 1, lost 0, scored 16, and conceded 2. I have a funny feeling that we're in for a 2-horse race this season. Man City are first, however, just because of alphabetical order. Man United is second for that same reason. Chelsea are third following their draw with Arsenal. Newcastle are fourth following their 3rd league win in a row against Stoke. And Tottenham make up the top 5 following their goalless draw against Swansea. Moving on to the bottom 5, and Crystal Palace are bottom following another scoreless loss. Bournemouth are 19th after they picked up their first win of the season against Brighton. Everton make up the bottom 3 after they were smashed by Man United. West Ham climbed out of the bottom 3 following their draw against West Brom, and Brighton make up the bottom 5 after their loss at Bournemouth. Moving on to the top goal scorers, and as you can see, Sergio Aguero is on top following his hat-trick against Watford. That took him up to 5 goals and 2 assists. Romelu Lukaku was second after his goal against his former club took him up to 5 goals and 1 assist. Gabriel Jesus added a goal to his tally that took him up to 4 goals. Also on 4 goals is Jamie Vardy following his penalty against Huddersfield. And making up the top 5 is Alvaro Morata, who couldn't find a way past Arsenal, so he's left on 3 goals and 2 assists. So that's all I've got for you this week. If you did enjoy it, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll be back next Tuesday for the next episode of the Premier League Review. If you want, you can follow us on Twitter to stay up to date when we upload a video or go live. The link is in the description, or it's at @portionofsport_. If you want to follow me on Twitter or subscribe to my personal YouTube channel, the links are both of those in the description as well, or my channel should be popped onto your screen round about now. But anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. I've been Mark from A Portion of Sport, and I'll see you soon.